Hello and welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined today by Danny Gilfillan as we look forward to one of the undercard fights on Saturday's huge BETERBIEV versus Bivol Riyadh season card in Saudi. Danny, we're here to look at Jai Opetaia versus Jack Massey. And before we get into things, guys, if you're enjoying our fight week content, there's content on every single fight on the card coming out. Please like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think of mine and Danny's opinions in this video. Danny, again, thank you for joining me. We'll fly straight into things here. Jai Opetaia, I've said this on previous videos. When he fought Maris Bradis the first time, it looked like we could have unearthed a star. And since then, he hasn't sort of fought the level of opponents we were necessarily expecting. Do you see Jack Massey as being a credible opponent for Jai Opetaia?
Yeah, you're right on that point about Opetaia's opponents, namely, obviously, Jordan Thompson and El Soro being quite underwhelming, and then he was sort of forced to rematch Bradis, which turned out to be a really tough fight, potentially even a tougher one than the first one. So I don't necessarily blame Opetaia for it. He's made no secret of the fact he wants the unification, I think particularly with Chris Smith. For whatever reason, it's not been forthcoming. Maybe a topic for another video. But on Jack Massey, I think he's definitely a credible opponent. I mean, he's the European champion, which in days gone by, there would have been no question over whether you were a credible world title challenger with that belt. Obviously, we've seen some weaker European champions in recent years. Fabio Turchi, I think, springs to mind in the cruiserweights. Jack Massey, I don't put in that category as a weak European champion. Absolutely not. Isaac Chamberlain was an excellent win. Even going the distance with Joseph Parker, winning rounds off Joseph Parker, who then went on to go straight into the best run of his career. Jack Massey's a lot bigger, to me, it seems, than Jai Opetaia. He's tough. He's a well-schooled boxer. He had a decent amateur career. The only loss at cruiserweight was it a split decision or majority decision to Richard Riakporhe, which was a long time ago when they were both very raw. So absolutely, I think Jack Massey's a credible opponent. It's not, a fight that's gonna, cross over into the mainstream. It's not a unification that we all want to see. But I'm looking forward to this one. To be honest, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Which not in terms of how easy it'll be for Opetaia, which I'm sure we'll come on to. But yeah, definitely credible opponent for me.
I think it's almost harsh on Jack Massey, the fact, obviously, over the recent years, especially when they done like the World Boxing Super Series, at cruiserweight, you had Usyk, Gassiev, Bradis in his pomp. So it's almost not necessarily a disjustice, but because of what we've seen, the fights Bradis has been in previously, when Jai Opetaia beat him, Jack Massey's name doesn't carry the same weight as those fighters. So I think it's almost not necessarily a disjustice, but it's almost unlucky timing in a sense. It's hard not to look past Saturday night's fight for Jai Opetaia. Do you think he will fight for another world title next and unify? Could we see him move up? Could we see BETERBIEV move up and fight Jai Opetaia? What do you think will happen next?
It's so hard to predict with any degree of confidence. I would love to see, if BETERBIEV was to win, him to move up and fight Opetaia. I think what's more likely is it'll be the winner of the Zurdo Ramirez, Chris Smith fight. Even if their promoters or managers aren't particularly keen on it and wouldn't take it in normal circumstances, just the money that'll be on offer for that fight. Jai Opetaia is one of Riyadh season's favourites, it seems, and obviously that Zurdo Ramirez Chris Smith fight's a Riyadh season show. Like that will happen if Big Turkey wants it to happen, and I imagine he would. I've got no real interest. I mean, if Jai Opetaia was to get past Jack Massey and fight the winner of Smith Zurdo Ramirez, it's basically a de facto undisputed fight. I mean, I know McKillian's got the WBC. I don't know what's going on. I think he was supposed to fight that Ryan Rosiski or something. Don't know if you remember, fought Oscar Rivas for a Bridgeweight title a long time ago. I don't know if that fight's happened, but I think that is considerably the weakest world champion at the weight. But I think Opetaia most likely will fight the winner of Zurdo and Chris Smith.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. The bout's a bit of a mess in cruiserweight, really. I think Bill Smith fight should have already happened, hasn't for whatever reasons. Don't want to be too critical of promotional views and opinions on that, as that's another video for another day. But yeah, I think we should be seeing Opetaia unifying the division, or at least in fights to do so. If not, it needs to be getting those superstar name fights instead. Predictions for this fight, Danny? How do you see it going? It's been a mixed bag so far from people I've spoke to, opinions I've seen online, ESBR videos. You know, I've seen some people saying Opetaia is going to be back to his best after self-admittedly underperforming in the Bradis rematch and get the stoppage. Or, you know, Jack Massey, like I say, he's been in with Joe Parker. Joe Parker couldn't get him out there. So do you see Opetaia stoppage? Do you see a Jack Massey shock victory, or will it be a routine points win for Opetaia?
It's very. I do like Jack Massey. I've spoken to him a couple of times. It's very hard to get past Jai Opetaia winning the fight. I'm surprised. I know this isn't a betting show, but at how wide the knockout is, 1-5, I think is incredibly short. I mean, I'm sort of 50-50 over whether I think Opetaia will get to him late or go points, and I think, to give Jack Massey a bit more credit because he's the Brit and all that, I'll go Opetaia on points in a relatively competitive fight. As I say, Jack Massey is durable. He knows how to look after himself very well against Joseph Parker. And I know Parker's maybe not as sharp, obviously, as Opetaia, but the punches will carry a lot more weight, even though Parker's not regarded as a big punching heavyweight, and Massey never looked in any real trouble in that fight. So I'm going to go Opetaia on points.
Yeah, I think everything you said spot on there. It's really difficult to gauge because is it a case of Opetaia just wasn't, he expected Bradis to be worse than he was, so he's made an excuse up, or was it a case of he just thought after the way the first fight went with his broken jaw, you know, he blasted through, like you say, Elizaro, Jordan Thompson. Was it going to be a case of he expected to blast through Maris Bradis? So it's difficult to judge on that. Like you say, Jack Massey's been in with Joseph Parker. I think in terms of technical ability, Opetaia is a better fighter, but as you say, Joe Parker will carry more weight with the punches. I am backing a Opetaia late stoppage. I would be incredibly surprised if he got to Jack Massey early. Like you say, he's durable, he's big, he's strong, but I just think Opetaia needs, after the Bradis disappointment in the rematch, I think Opetaia needs a big performance. And I do think he will get to Jack Massey late. Danny, thank you so much for joining me to preview that fight. Guys, let us know down below what you think in the comments. Can Jack Massey shock the world? Will Opetaia knock him out? As I say, like, comment, subscribe. And Danny, thank you for joining me.